It's time now for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lesante Show. Now here's your host, Sam Lesante.
Hey folks, thanks for joining us. I'm Sam Lesante, another great show. Folks, let me ask you a question. Should we save our libraries in the greater Hazleton area? The answer is there's no doubt about it. We should definitely save our libraries. Will it cost you any more money? Absolutely not. Today, folks, my guest is Jim Reimiller. He is the Executive Director for the Hazleton Area Public Library System. And just to give you a little education as to why you should vote yes to save our libraries, Jim is here to explain a lot of things, but let me just tell you this. No tax increase. It's just a matter of transferring over one from the school district into another area. Jim, how are you?
I'm fine. Thank you, Sam, for having me.
So you've been around a little bit with the Hazleton Library, right? Maybe, what, 2 years?
It's a little more than 2. I've been here probably like 36 now.
36 years,
Yes,
gosh.
yes.
Yeah. You still look the same, though. You're not getting
No, I don't know about that either, Sam. I'm a little bit different.
You've seen some drastic changes from library when you first started to where it is right now.
Yes. A couple major things have happened in libraries, and I guess the 3 big ones would be, first of all, the automation of the old card catalog, where everything's automated now and online, and you can go on the computer and see what we have. We also have the holdings of all the libraries in Luzerne County. And then the second big thing was the internet. That increased the ability to do things, and then databases came along with the internet. And now this third big thing we're seeing is going to be ebooks, and that's one of the things we need to address as part of this campaign also.
Mm-hmm. So there's a referendum that's going to be, voters will be facing on April the 24th, okay? Right. What is this referendum?
Okay. What we're asking the voters to do is, right now, our primary funding source is the Hazleton Area School District, and the money we receive from the school district is currently part of their budget. It wasn't always like that, Sam. At one time, it was a dedicated tax right on your property tax bill. That was changed years ago. Now what we're trying to do is, again, revert to having that as a dedicated tax for the library, which would transfer the money that's already being collected by the school district on our behalf to a dedicated tax which goes directly to the Hazleton Area Public Library Board of Trustees. This will eliminate any possibility that we had last year when the school district was faced with some very serious funding cuts of their own. They had to look for places to reduce their budget. Since we were a part of their budget, there was actually some proposals, as some people had mentioned previously, that we eliminated entirely. That would have been a disaster. Well, it did turn out that there was a small cut, but it hurt us. It hurt us tremendously. If this dedicated tax is passed, Sam, that won't happen again. The school district can concentrate on their budget. Our Board of Trustees will concentrate on our budget.
Now, okay, as I said on the onset, there is no increase in taxes as it sits right now.
Right now. Last year, before the cuts, we received approximately about $700,000 from the district. If this passes, we'll receive a little bit over $700,000. So we've had school directors telling us this is basically a wash. They're going to back out their money. One school director had said that this move to the dedicated tax is basically righting a wrong that was done when this was taken off the tax bill back in the late 90s. So that's how we're looking at it, yes, as a wash.
Now, you got 5 locations, and where are these locations?
Okay, naturally the main library is in Hazleton, and that I wanted to tell you, Sam, is the one that when I grew up growing up in the northwest section of Hazleton, I would walk to on Saturdays from James Street through the Vine Street Cemetery to the library for my books. Never once imagining that one day I would be back, the library director of that. So that's the first one. That was built, the original building where I went when I was a small child was built by the Markle family for the city of Hazleton, for the community. Now, back when the school district joined together with all the other communities, which was in the mid-1960s, we assumed the responsibility of serving the entire Hazleton area school district, the 16 municipalities. They agreed to fund us, but they also asked that we put libraries in the communities in the surrounding areas. And as it turned out, there were 4 established in Freeland, in the Valley, which is in Cunningham, in Nuremberg and over in McAdoo. They were established, and those communities have had those libraries since the late 1960s. It's important that this referendum passes if those community libraries are to remain. It's really important.
What do you have at these different satellites?
Okay, they're naturally not as big as what we have in Hazleton and don't have the depth. They have a collection of books. They're geared for the recreational needs of the community, the how-to, the book needs, the bestsellers, and it's also geared really big for the children of the community. This is where the children go for their programs before they go to school. This is where they go for their programs during the summer when school isn't in session. So these are very important parts of those communities. If they close, Sam, like they're going to have to go to Hazleton, get on a bus. That's not going to happen. These communities are going to lose their libraries possibly, which are very precious to them. We don't want to see that happen.
You know what fascinates me, Jim, and it's just like the most important thing that we're trying to do with our youngsters is to give them an education,
right?
To make them learn as much as they can, because the more you know about certain things, the more you're inclined to either benefit from it or know what not to do. For example, when you read the dangers of smoking, if you read the dangers of drugs, if you see as more and more information is being given to people, they're able to make value decisions in their lives. What more is so important in life today than educating? I would think that if I was a legislator, I would think that I would want to keep the libraries as live as possible and make sure that the funding is, because you're providing not only for young people but for a wide variety of people. Is that correct?
We always say that the library is for preschoolers through senior citizens. It's also one of the things that if you don't have children in the school district, you can benefit from the library. You talked about the importance of education. There is nothing more important than getting these children ready to read before they start school. We feel we're an important part of the educational system. Building literacy skills in these children before they start school is important. We also serve during the summer when they're away from school, they come to the library. We have programs all summer long. It's been proven with statistics that if they don't read during the summer, they fall behind. We're there to help them maintain their reading skills throughout the summer through our program, through a variety of programs that we have. And again, we feel we're a very important part of the educational system in the district.
Now, you guys were cut before, okay? Well, how did you deal with those cuts and still maintain, you know, the visibility and the services?
It has not been easy, Sam. We've had to cut hours. We've had to cut materials purchases. We've also had to cut magazine subscriptions. We've lost about 50 magazine subscriptions over the past 2 years. People are complaining that we don't have them anymore. 8 hours per week cut in Hazleton. Naturally, as with the case with many businesses and organizations in our area, our staff has taken a hit. There haven't been raises in 2 years, and they've had reductions in benefits. Again, it's part of the economic times, but it's been very hard for us.
Folks, I'm talking to Jim Reimiller, who is the Executive Director for the Hazleton Public Library System. On Tuesday, April the 24th, we need you to vote yes. This is not a tax increase. It's just a transfer of funds, but it's very important that you do that. You're going to see all over the place the posters in the yards. It says, "Save our libraries, vote yes, April the 24th. Our good friend, media partners, the Standard Speaker, put a beautiful half-page ad in the paper indicating why you should vote yes for our libraries. So everybody's on board with this. All we need you is to participate. When we come back, here's some questions. Number one, with the advent of all of the Kindles and with the internet and what everything you need, some people may feel, well, really, we really need the libraries, but we get all the books we want on the computers. Stay with us. Welcome back, folks, and thank you for joining the Sam Lesante Show. Folks, we were talking about saving our libraries and why they're important. Jim Reimiller is my guest, but before we go to Jim, a couple things. Little homework here, folks. SSPTV.com 24/7. Every one of our shows are archived. If you want to watch all of our shows, particularly our new show, The Girls, tune us in. It's a fabulous show. And also, you need to contact me, Sam, at SSPTV.com. Atomic and Pure Mountain Spring Water, folks, is the official water of SSP TV and Samson Productions. Starbucks uses this water. So if they don't have this water where you buy your water, ask for Tom Ecken Pure Mountain Spring Water. Of course, JoJo's in the Hazleton Beltway also sells it. And of course, folks, I still take my 2 shots of Mona V every morning. It is great stuff. Dan Vasella, give him a call. Try it. You'll certainly like it. Jim Reinmiller's here talking about the libraries, talking about why you should vote yes on April 24th. As I said before, our media partners, the Standard Speaker, have half-page ads running saying vote yes for maintaining our libraries. It's April 24th. Jim is here. Jim, I said before going to break, people are saying today, with the Kindle and, all the, I could take my phone right now and I could download a book, et cetera, and then really, what do we need the libraries for? Straighten me out on that.
Okay, well, let's just go over some of the things we are doing, Sam. Of course, libraries are, first of all, noted for their book collections. We have a collection of about 170,000 volumes throughout the system. They're still used heavily. We also have books on tape, CDs, DVDs, okay. In addition to that, we have a local history collection. We're still the primary source for tax forms. Believe it or not, there are still a lot of people in the Hazleton area, you mentioned our senior citizens, who still rely on the paper tax forms. We have them. We're the main supplier from the whole area here. I can't forget to mention our programs, okay? Programs for adults. We just had a great Meet the Author program with local authors recently. We plan on doing more of that. All summer long, we have our summer reading club, which I mentioned before, 900 to 1,000 kids each year. Very valuable for them. Throughout the year, our programs for the children, again, to help with their reading, get them ready for school, preschool and school-age children. The website, we're starting to get the automation now. We starting to mention Kindles. We have if you can't come into the library, you can get library service through our website, www.hazletonlibrary.org. In addition to being able to look at all of our collection online, we have several databases on there that are valuable for the community. For instance, we have a database called Tell Me More, where there's a half dozen languages where you could take lessons for. There's a database called Heritage Quest, which is a genealogy-based database. You can help with your genealogy. There are a number of databases provided by the state on there, some reference databases and some research databases, which we've discussed earlier. And there's also an important one on there called Newsbank, which has access to newspapers, including our own Standard Speaker. You can go on there and look at the Standard Speaker on our databases there. So that's one way of using.
That's fantastic.
Yes, and these things aren't cheap. I know that last.
So if I go on, if you're telling me, if I go on your website, hazletonlibrary.org, okay,
right.
I could have access to everything you're telling me.
Yes.
I could read any newspaper?
Yes, you'll need your library card. You need to get a library card.
So
I don't know how many of them are on. There's probably a couple hundred newspapers on there.
So, wow. And so if I have to get a library card, okay, I have to subscribe.
Right.
Okay. And how much is that library card?
Absolutely nothing. Okay. What we're doing here, this referendum, you vote for this, the taxes are what pays for the library. You do not have to pay. It's free of charge for anyone who lives in the Hazleton Area School District or in Luzerne County, because we have some cooperation with them. Now, back to your original question.
Yeah.
We're talking about the Kindles.
I'm fascinated by this because I like these Sam Lesante shows because I learn a lot of things. You know?
Well, and you've done a lot of them, so you should know a lot by now.
Yeah, but I'm just saying I am excited about what you're telling me because this is a valuable piece of information.
There's a lot, and believe me, all statistics point that in economic bad times, libraries are used even more. Pennsylvania Library Association has done some studies where statistics are up all over the state. Visits, circulation, programming, and the number of books circulated from library to library, that if you don't have something, I can get something from the Wilkes-Barre Library or the Philadelphia Library if they have it. We do that all the time. Those numbers are up dramatically because a lot of libraries had to reduce budgets, so they have to rely on getting something that they might not have from another library. Okay, now, you did mention, and I mentioned in the first segment that the e-books they're here to stay. There's no question about it. E-books, on your personal devices, readers, Kindles, books, iPads, and you mentioned phones. You can even read a book on your phone. And again, valuable, great way to do it. There are some things that you can get for free, but just like going to a bookstore, there's a lot of stuff you have to pay for. You have to pay $8, $20 to get a book to your Nook or Kindle. What we would like to do, and we'll be able to do if this passes, is that we'll be able to get either on our catalog or on our website, we'll be able to contract with companies, purchase the ebooks, and then you could loan them just like you would a book. For a period of time, you could download them to your Kindle or your phone, and then after, say, 3 weeks, it would go away. So you'd be able to do that. The expense would be on the library, not your expense. I've been hearing people, oh, this is great. I download all these books. Then they get their credit card statement at the end of the month. Oh, I spent $80 this month on books. And it's not like when you were going to the library, the bookstore and picking it up and you'd know then. It just appears on your credit card because you've downloaded it there. We'll be able to provide that service. Again, I can't do it now because of the uncertainty of our funding situation. I can't sign a contract with the company for $20,000 not knowing if my funding is going to be there. So hopefully when this passes, we'll be able to add that in the very near future.
Jim, this is a no-brainer to me. This is absolutely no-brainer to anybody who's watching this show to vote yes to keep the libraries. First of all, there's no tax increase. Second of all, what you're telling me, for people who are doing any kind of research, the seniors or college students or students that have any different kind of research at all, just going to your website and having all that information available to them. We know we Google things, okay, but on top of that, the added help and the direction that the library is giving you.
And as I said, the internet is a valuable source. There's a lot of good things on there, but sometimes when you Google it, you're not sure how reliable some of that information is. The sites we have on our websites are reputable sites. You're not going to go wrong by going on our website and using any of the databases that are on there.
And that's another key. They're monitored. You know you're going to get the right information. Are you tied in now with all the libraries across the country?
Not across the country. We can get, you could pretty much go to any library's website and find something. We can get anything in Pennsylvania, no problem at all. But we can go, if we can't find something in Pennsylvania, we could go through various consortia outside the state, and we've gone to many other states to get, I've seen things as far away from Alaska coming to our library for people to borrow.
I think the importance right now for people who are using the library right now, they know how valuable it is. Mm-hmm. But what you just said right now, you just opened up a vast area for me as far as people who maybe have never used the library, but now what you've said, you've just opened up a whole canyon of information that we could be using the libraries. Folks, I'm talking to Jim Reimiller, who is the Executive Director for the Hazleton Area Public Library. To me, it's a no-brainer, folks. I mean, vote yes. It's not going to cost you a penny. There's no tax increase here, but it's something of tremendous service. We come back, we'll learn a lot more about the libraries along with me. I'm going to learn a lot more. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us, folks. I'm Sam Lesante, 24/7 SSPTV.com. Jim Reimiller, Executive Director for the Hazleton Area Public Library. I want to ask you, you have such a major campaign going on now. I see all the posters. I see the half-page ads. I see all the bookmarks, and people are saying, gosh, there's tons of money that you guys are spending. The Sam Lesante show, no charge for this show. I mean, is this all taxpayer money?
Not one penny is taxpayer money, Sam. When the school district suggested this to us last year, that this was a way to prevent this from happening again, we discovered that they're no longer able to, by a simple majority vote, put this back on the tax bill. It has to go to a referendum. It absolutely has to go to a referendum because of Act 1. That was a scary thing, but we did some research. We found that in the last fall, the general election in Pennsylvania last fall, there were two very successful referendums for public library operating funds. One in Whitehall, which is similar to us because they are an area funded primarily by their school district. Over 60% of the vote won that one. Pittsburgh, the whole city of Pittsburgh, They bill themselves as one of the most literate cities in the country. Over 70% of the voters in Pittsburgh supported this referendum last year. So we said, well, we can do this if they can. So we knew that because of laws regarding nonprofits and political activity, we couldn't do this with library money. So there was a group, some of our trustees, some friends, formed a group called Save Our Libraries Political Action Committee. And what that has done is they've raised the money. They've raised the money. In addition to that, we've had some great in-kind donations. Yourself for this show, standard speaker with some ads. All the big billboards that you have seen are out there as a result of this Save Our Libraries PAC. So again, donations have come in, and we've had brochures printed and things like that. That is with all private money.
Well, that's good, and I'm glad we cleared the air, because the first question I asked Dave when we came in is, you know, who's paying for all this, and just so people think, well, you're wanting money, but you're spending money, and it didn't cost you anything. Now, most importantly, our listeners. Why should our viewers and our listeners, what should they do to save our libraries?
Well, what we need to do is, we feel that this is a very important referendum for our community. The future of the Hazleton area libraries are at stake here. What we need, the people who support us, is to get out there and vote. However, before we do that, I just want to get out there and thank everyone so far for helping. People like yourself. We've had a number of people, there's yard signs all over the place. People have volunteered their time. We're going to have poll workers out there. And that, I mean, I can't believe how overwhelming that is when people come up to you. I was in a restaurant the other day. Jim, can I have a yard sign for my house? How gratifying is that? I don't even know some of these people, and they're coming up to me. We need to support you. So this has been a great outpouring from our community, and I'm so grateful. But we still need a couple things. If after today you don't have, if you need more questions answered, one of the things that the Save Our Libraries PAC did is there's a website there. It's called www.savehapl.com. Any of the things we've talked about today are on that website, and it may answer some of any additional questions that you may have regarding this whole referendum issue. In addition to that, the most important thing people can do is to get out there on April 24th and make sure that this referendum passes. If you support this referendum, vote yes on April 24th. I've said before that how important it is for children that have our libraries in the community. We talked about 900 to 1,000 people, children each year, using our summer reading club. In addition to that, many of those children are card holders. Thousands of them in the area are card holders. However, not one of those children can vote. Exactly. Not one of them can vote.
So once again, it's just a transfer. As we sit right here today, if we had this transfer, if we had our own line item, there'd be absolutely no increase in taxes. People are not going to get taxed more as we sit here today. What districts do in the future, that's another story. But as far as the library is concerned, there is no additional tax.
Yeah, they'll back
that's
it
why
up.
I said to you, I mean, and when you explained before in the other segment about what you can now get from the internet and the library, I think it's fantastic. Yeah. You got about 30 seconds left. Jim, what would you like to say?
Okay, we need everybody to get out there and support us on April 24th with a yes vote. This is not a Democrat issue. This is not a Republican issue, nor is it a liberal or a conservative issue. This is a community issue. If we want to keep all of our libraries, Freeland, McAdoo, Nuremberg, the Valley, Hazleton, intact, we need to get out there and vote yes. If you are a grandparent or a parent, this is a perfect example of how to show your children or grandchildren how their vote may be meaningful for something that is meaningful for the children.
Jim, you certainly have my vote, and you have all the votes of the Lesante family and everybody who is participating here. Vote yes, folks. It's very simple. Just vote yes for the referendum. It's a no-brainer, folks. Believe me, it's a no-brainer. Just vote yes, give them the support, and use the library for what they have. Use those the libraries, all the different extensions they have, the branches. I'm sorry. Plus, you have a great board of trustees, directors. They all work hard for the community. You're watching the Sam Lesante Show 24/7, HazeltonLibrary.org or savehapl.com to answer any of your questions on the library. Vote yes. Vote yes to save our libraries. See you next time.